Hi, Patricia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. So in 2010, Patricia Spottedcrow was sentenced to 12 years in prison for possession of $31 worth of marijuana. This was your first felony. Your sentence sparked national outrage and led to a grassroots movement that led to your early release. Since then, you've reunited with your children and you're adjusting to life outside of prison. And while it's unusual for somebody to be released early, your sentence that you received is not unusual, according to the reporting that we've done in our story. You were 25 when you went to prison, and you had 4 small children. Can you tell me, when you were, after you were, got caught and you were being sentenced, tell me about that interaction that you had with the judge and how that made a really big difference in the sentence that you got, because you felt like you were treated a little bit differently. And the judge is obviously a really important player when it comes to sentencing crimes.
So the judge asked me questions, I guess like for intake. Of course, I don't know anything because I've never been in trouble before, ever criminally in my life, okay? This is the very first time. And so they were asking me questions like about my childhood, and I responded, I had 2 parents, because that was one of their questions. I did have 2 parents. They asked like, did we live in poverty or whatever? And no, like my mom worked, and like we had stuff. She was always busy working. She worked really hard. Well, they said that played a part in my sentencing because they expected me to, like those people who come from like only one parent or from foster homes, or they just wanted me to say like I had a horrible childhood. But because I didn't, she said that she didn't feel like I had, like, there was no reason for me to do this. So that's why she said she gave me a harsh sentence.
Mm-hmm. So you felt like they were projecting projecting like who you were, and that played a big part in your sentence.
Yes.
And I understand your mom also was sentenced along with you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So if I'm correct, my mom was 55 at the time, and my mother's never even had a speeding ticket before, okay? She's never been in trouble. She was not even involved in this. The night that it happened, she was the only one home. And so they have my mom asking my son, like, can you give Nana that $10 bill and I'll give you this $20 bill? So they're saying like my mom involved my son in drug deals, but they made it seem like he did it himself and just brought it to her. Like he didn't know what was going on, but they went really hard on my mom for that. And they winded up ultimately giving her a 30-year suspended sentence with 5 years of UAs and hair follicles.
Mm-hmm. And so now you're back living with your mom, mm-hmm. correct? And you have 6 kids right
yes.
now. That's amazing. And you said that you always wanted a big family when you were
I've
young.
always said I wanted 10 kids, so it's funny because when I be like, I'm pregnant, Mom, she's like, really? Where, other people be like, oh my God, stop. So, but my kids were crying when I told them I got my tubes tied, because going to prison, like taking a break, I feel like my body is so much older, I can't do it. So when I told my son, he was like, why did you do that? And I was like, oh.
So let's talk about the representation that you had for your case and the lawyer. You took what was known as a blind plea. Can you talk about the sentencing and what you expected, what you thought that meant, and then what actually happened?
Okay, so I did have a paid attorney, and
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said?
I had a paid attorney. His name was Mark Claiborne, and he represented me and my mother. Now, we went through the whole trial before we found out that you're not even supposed to represent 2 co-defendants. But he did represent that, so I counted on him in the end. But he,
he represented you and your mom, and then when it came time for sentencing, you
okay,
were saying, yeah.
Okay, so when it came time, so my mom got sentenced a month before I did, but they had came before that with 2 years in and 2 years out for me and my mom. So I told my attorney no, because they said if you had a paid attorney, he works for you. So I need my mom to go home. And so that's what he went for. So he came back and they sentenced my mom. They said that they would make sure that she went. I have to do a blind plea. But he told me that a blind plea meant, the judge said she would not give me more than 2 years if I had to do every day of 2 years, but she might give me 15, 20 years probation. Well, that sounded good to me. So when I went up there and did the blind plea, that's not what happened.
What did happen?
Well, really, when I went up there, he said 15 years. She said 15 years. The DA said 15 years, and the judge automatically right then said no, I won't do 15, but I'll do a 12. So she tells me to go in the little box, and I'm still like, what do you mean 12? 12 what? You know, I don't know what's going on. And then Mark Claiborne comes over, and he's like, oh, you'll do 4.5 years on a 12. And I still, it was just a blur from there for a while.
You felt like you didn't know what was really going on in terms of like what your lawyer was doing for you, because like you said, he was working for you.
Right.
So, can you also explain a little bit about that too?
So I do kind of feel like there should be like advocates or some people that help people who are first time in trouble, because like I really had no idea, like the bond, and me and my mom sat in jail for 23 days together when this originally first happened. I really didn't know any of my rights and stuff, and it's crazy that it takes you going to prison to actually like try to learn some of that, because you really should know some out here. I just feel like if I would have had better advice, or maybe if I had a whole bunch of friends that were criminals, they could have told me back then what to do, you know, instead of now. So.
So your case got a lot of attention, and you had reporters coming in to talk to you at Mabel Bassett. You had a television crew. How did that change how you were treated up in Mabel Bassett? And then you all, at the same time, you were really dealing with missing your children, and that really, I think you said to me, that really helped you do your time. But you also connected with women that didn't know where their children were. So I'm sorry, I asked like 3 questions here, but the first one was, your case got a lot of attention, and how did that
Okay,
change?
so it worked in my favor for some, and it worked against me. It was the 50-50 between the inmates and the guards. So some of the guards were crappy, some of the inmates were crappy, and then other people were happy, and they like do something with it, and then other people were like, what makes you so special? My story is this, and da-da-da-da, and why are they worried about you? Why don't they come worry about me? And so it was a whole bunch of just all the way around. Everything you can think of is what I got. So.
And so some of the other women, we were talking about your kids the other day, and how, some women, they didn't know where their kids were, and you connected with a lot of those women. Can you talk about that?
Okay, so when I first got to prison, I didn't really know what to expect from, like, what was going to be on the yard. I just seen TV, too, so I know they're going to try to beat me up. That's all I know, okay? So when I get to the yard and I'm seeing, like, these are people's grandmas and people's moms and sisters, and, like, just to even think my mom being in that situation is just, like, horrible. Then I think about my mom, because every time she came to visit me, she cried. Every time I talked to her on the phone, she cried. I'm just like, stop crying. You're driving me nuts. But I don't know how that felt for her. I don't know if it's worse for the people on the inside or the outside. So, but talking to these girls, there's young girls in there that have babies, and you talk to these girls and you're like, where are your kids at? And they're like, I don't know. Are they together? No. Well, how are you going to find them? I don't know. And I could not even begin to imagine what that would even be like, because I didn't have to go through that, thank God. But I didn't see my kids very much. When they originally first came the first time, it was really hard because they didn't want to leave. They were crying, and then it was just,
they wanted their mom.
Right, and so it was devastating for me to see my kids like that. So we kind of was just like X that out, My mom was real considerate, I guess I want to say. Like, there'd be times where she'd be like, you want to talk to your babies? No, Mom, no. She didn't ask me no questions, and she just went on. And she didn't push me or nothing like that, because there were times where I couldn't talk to my kids at all. So. Yeah.
Why was that?
Just like feeling guilty from not being there, knowing that I'm missing everything, and then, oh my God, worrying will kill you. Like, you will literally like have a heart attack or a stroke from worrying from anything. Like, what if my mom's blood pressure goes up and my kids don't know, or what if something happens to my kids? And I don't remember what happened, but one time the phones were down for like a week, and I could not talk to my mom. Oh, I was going crazy. I didn't know if she was okay. I don't know. I couldn't call no one, so.
So since you've been out, what has life been like? I mean, how have you adjusted to being on the outside, and also just connecting with your kids after you're away?
Okay, so I don't know if it was harder because why I went to jail for what I did. I was doing it because it was already hard, so it's triple harder now. Like, there's no housing, there's no, if you try to get an apartment, they have steps about felons, 7 years, 2 years. If you have a drug case, you're X'd out. So there's no help there. when you need help with housing. As far as jobs go, I'm from a little town, so everybody knows me, you know. Even if they don't know me, they know who I am now. So I've only did nursing. I don't know anything else, and of course, I can't do nursing no more. So getting a job there is like, I can't even go in and act like I feel good about getting this job because they already know who I am. So it's been really hard. As far as reconnecting with my kids, that was real big for me because I miss my kids so much. I guess from putting them out of my mind and just trying to do my time when I came home, like I would literally get like so sick to my stomach because I would look at my kids and I wouldn't get happy, mad, or sad. Like I had been so drained from like emotions, and for the first year I cried the whole year. I got down to like 102 pounds. It got pretty bad, you know. Then I realized like I have to do this. I have to go home to my kids. So when I got back, my mom had told me, don't try to make up for any lost time because you can't. You just have to go from here. So I did leave a little baby behind, like an actual real baby. Like I didn't say bye to no one that morning I left because I had no idea. So she just went from seeing her mom one day to me not coming back. And then when I came back, she was like almost fully grown. I mean, she's walking and talking, but I was scared she wouldn't remember me, but she did. But she's really close to my mom.
How long was it before you got to see your kids after you were released?
Oh, I went straight. Well, I did. I went and met with my lawyer first, and then I went straight to my kids. And so they have a video of when my kids are coming on the bus, because they did not know I was leaving. I did not know I was leaving. I just woke up on a Thursday, and I got called down to the office. And when I went in there, the man had a check in his hand. I was like, oh, my God, is that for me? And he was like, yes, you have 15 minutes to get out of here. And I was like, oh, my God, my mom lives in Kingfisher. He's like, nope, you have to go, because the media was all outside, and they were, like, waiting on me for, like, 4 days.
So you didn't know you were going to be released?
No, I did not. And so when the bus pulls up and my kids get off, oh, they were so excited. The little baby, she was already at home. And they got off, and they were excited, and they were like, are you going to stay? And I was like, yes, I'm staying.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, so just going back to, you know, being a mom and being in prison, I mean, I think that's just probably one of the most difficult things for you.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty difficult. I guess it's just so hard, because with my older kids, they understand, and I can talk to them and tell them, but the babies, they don't understand, and they're, why can't you come home? Why can't I just stay with you? Or like, I don't understand. And so I think it's difficult when you have littler kids than it, like with my older kids, they were, I'm not gonna say understanding, okay, but they understood what was really going on.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're almost done with our time, but I wanted to know if there was anything else that you wanted to say to everybody. We have a room full of judges and district attorneys and prosecutors and people who work in the field, and as somebody who has been incarcerated and you've had this experience and now you're on the outside, what's something that you think that you'd like people to take away from, or what do you take away from your experience?
So as far as that goes, I think there should definitely be more, help before they actually just send you to prison for first-time drug offenses. The majority of these girls were in there from taking a drug case for a man. So like it wasn't even their drug. So now they're just in here. So there should definitely be more help as far as that goes. And maybe we should start like younger start down here instead of saying, oh, well, this is how your childhood was and this is why this happened. So why not start with more stuff down here?
Yeah, and one of the reasons why you ended up going to prison was because you were, you were selling marijuana to be able to put food on your table.
Correct, and it's easy for everyone to say like get a job and stuff, but I can get a job, but that's not gonna put food and diapers on my baby today, and I have to wait 2 weeks for that, you know. And then where I'm right now, if I wanted to get a job even at Sonic, it wouldn't even be worth it because I'm gonna have to give you all of my paycheck just for gas taking me there. And I have 6 kids that I have to support, so that's not even plausible for me, you know what I'm saying? So, and getting a job is really hard. Like I said, I haven't had any luck.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming and telling us some of your story, and then just thank you for sharing that story with me and everything. So thank you.
Well, thank you.